Hello my Amazon friends. In today's video, I'm going to be discussing launching strategies for your Amazon product, more specifically giveaways versus PPC. And believe it or not, one method is a lot more powerful than the other for a variety of reasons. And believe it or not, people are still doing the high risk, very expensive way to launch your product. I'm gonna get into all the details about a giveaway launch versus a PPC launch and let you know why a PPC launch is the most powerful thing. I get a lot of messages from several soon-to-be Amazon sellers that want to sell on the marketplace, and they're still considering giveaway launches and asking what services are best to use and how to approach this method. And I like to let them know that that is not the way to do it. I teach all of my students in my Amazon course as well as in my private label club that the low risk way is the way to go. And I recently made a video breaking down the low risk versus high risk way of starting Amazon, and giveaways versus PPC, which is the way of ranking and launching your product, was a very heavy component I focused on. And I really believe in doing this business model the low risk way because that's going to get you started faster. It's actually going to get you pushed over the barrier of starting, and it will allow you to launch more products and get, actually I'll touch up on those points later on. But let's actually discuss giveaways versus PPC. First, I want to break down giveaways and kind of why people do it and the dangers of it. And then I will go into the PPC launch strategy and exactly kind of the perks and benefits and how it's going to be very low cost for you. So what's the appeal of giveaways? That was actually kind of a super rank strategy that sellers used to use back in the day. I mean, when I even first started selling on Amazon 2 years ago, that was where all the hype was. Everybody was talking about giveaways because all you had to do is kind of list your product, give it to a launch service, and list it at even 97% off. And with that, you will rank to the top because pretty much everyone is gonna buy that product, and it tricks Amazon's algorithm into thinking that you're actually kind of going to page one faster. And while that may be the case, there's a lot of flaws with that, and I'll kind of get into them. I made a list, so let's actually get into the flaws. And before I get into actually the flaws, note that Amazon did change their terms of service. So now the way to rank with giveaways, it's still viable. However, you have to do full price giveaways, which means it's going to be very expensive. And that's actually the first flaw. That's what makes it very high risk, and is the fact that you have to kind of sacrifice your units, right? Because you're giving them the product away. And then on top of that, you're also now sacrificing the Amazon FBA fees. Well, before you weren't sacrificing those because you were to give away your products at 97% discount, which means your Amazon fee would be much smaller. But now it's actually a larger upfront cost, which makes it much more high risk. The second thing is that you need to order a higher MOQ, which is the minimum order quantity of your product, because say you need to give away like 300 or 500 units in order to get and rank to the first page. You do that, but then you have to have other units that begin selling organically. If you don't have those, then how are you going to, what are you going to sell, right? So just upfront, you have to kind of order more. Do you understand what I'm saying? And we'll get down to the PPC way of launching, and I'll let you know why you don't have to do this with PPC. So the third thing is that you need to give away a high MOQ at full price, including FBA fees. Now that I touched upon that with the high risk investment, but again, you do need to give away those units as well as the FBA fees. And the fourth thing is, again, is feeding into this high risk thing, and that is, it's not real data. The full price giveaways is not real data. You're not giving away these items to customers on Amazon that are interested in the product. You're typically giving them away to random couponers that will take anything for free. So whether it's full price or not, right? They're gonna take it if it's $1 or 50 cents. They just want anything. If it's anything related to them, anything not. So they're just going to keep purchasing these products completely for free because you reimburse them, right? And that's good for them. They're getting free products. But for you, you don't actually know if your customers are interested in the product. The only way for them to know for you to know if they're interested is once it actually gets to page 1 and you see the sales, the organic sales start to get in. And you won't know that until you rank to page 1, which means, again, why it makes it such a high risk. If you spend all that money kind of putting into your inventory and to FBA fees and it ranks and you don't have the real data, it's very possible that your item, nobody really likes it. And then when you're on first page, the problem is that you don't stick on the first page. And that's kind of the number one thing that people, I remember back in the day, had a lot of complaints with, is they kind of launch their product and they see their product on page 1, but as soon as they turn their giveaways off, there goes their product, right? And it doesn't stick on the page, they don't get organic sales, and now they wasted all of those extra units they ordered. It could be anywhere from 300 to 500. And typically, by the way, another thing is when you are doing giveaways, typically those are in very high risk markets with many other competitive sellers that are also selling high numbers. So it is such a high investment upfront. So that's why, that's probably the number one reason I don't like it, is because you won't know for sure if someone wants to buy your product until it ranks on the first page. And if you don't get sales, then you've wasted all of that. So that's quite unfortunate, and I don't like the high risk strategy anywhere actually. I teach all my students how to do everything low risk, to starting with a small MOQ, to ranking it with a small MOQ, ranking it with PPC, which I'll get into it now. And if you're not yet a student, you should be at theplclub.com. You can literally start for $7 and know how to find these types of low risk profitable products. That's why I made it so affordable for literally anyone to get started, because I want to surpass all the barriers. Okay, so then there's 2 more reasons about giveaways, and then we'll go to the PPC launch. So the 5th thing is that once you do this strategy and say it does work, then you need to reorder your inventory immediately, and sometimes even in advance, because you have to factor in the lead time of your factory as well as kind of the shipping time, right? So all of that takes time. And if you're starting to sell out, or you just finished your giveaways and you don't know yet if your product is going to be selling organically, sometimes you might even have to place an order well before that, which again feeds back into the very high risk way of needing to order so many more units, and I just don't like that, right? And then the 6th thing is higher chances of cash flow issues. That's also not good, because Amazon doesn't pay you for 2 weeks. And if you have all this kind of backup and uncertainty, and you need to order so many more units ahead of time because you're in this kind of high competition market with all these giveaways, you're going to need to have a lot of money up front, and you're going to need to have supplemental money so you can fund your future inventory before it actually sells out. So sometimes if you don't have those funds, that's how cash flow issues start. So you want to kind of do that ahead of time. Okay, that wasn't very fun. So let's move on to the fun topic of PPC launches, which is more affordable and very low risk. It's what I teach all my students to do, and I love this, right? The number one thing, it's a low risk investment, and I'll get into all of this. All of this really feeds into the low risk investment part. And the first thing is that there is a smaller MOQ to order, because you can start with 300 units, which is how I teach my students, or however many you want. I mean, it has to be reasonable, right? And that's going to be enough, because when you put the money into PPC, you're gonna start to see the sales. And oh, actually, I think I'm getting ahead of myself. I still have 7 things on this list for why PPC launch is amazing. But anyways, you can just start with a smaller MOQ, which means less of a upfront investment, which is good for everybody, because not everyone has like tens and thousands of dollars that they can put into Amazon products, which actually with giveaways, that's kind of more of the numbers that you would be looking into. I did a breakdown, like I mentioned earlier, of kind of high risk versus low risk, and the high risk is kind of in the above $10,000 range. Low risk isn't, so don't worry. So the third thing is no giveaways, which is great. Without the giveaways, you're of course not having to pay the FBA fees. You're also not having to give away your actual units. You're not having to pay some launch service to do it. So that is an immediate saver of money, and it's great. I mean, number 3, that's no giveaways, less problems, more money for future products, right? The 4th thing, this one is my favorite one, is the real data aspect of it. Because when you launch with PPC, And in my course, I teach how to set up these campaigns, how to launch with PPC, how to optimize them to make sure like every dollar you put in, you actually get money back. And this is all real data because it's not fake customers. It's not just a bunch of couponers that want to purchase items. It's real data of people buying your products, and you see your products slowly move up in the rankings because more organic people begin to buy it. So you have the PPC sales, and that ultimately leads to more organic sales, which is awesome. And then number 5 is when you actually see your product crawling to the top and you see more sales coming in, not just from PPC, but the organic sales. That is when you reorder your inventory, and you order it when you start to see sales picking up. You're not going to have to order way more in advance in order for kind of to account for that giveaway loss, right? Because when you're giving away, you have to be prepared. When you get to the first page, you will get more sales. So you have to have that inventory ready. For PPC, you don't have to have that at all. So that's great. So once you see actual traction, then you reorder. And again, you have like a peace of heart knowing that your units are actually selling by real people, and that there won't be that issue of where giveaways is if you get to the front page, you don't know if you're gonna stick. But here, you know you're gonna stick because you're already seeing the sales come in. So that's great. The 6th reason is that there's a lower chance of cash flow issues. Of course, everybody wants that because again, you're ordering as you see it, and it's kind of typically a less competitive market, but that's okay because you can expand and kind of duplicate that. And actually a lot of the times the sales are quite high. It really depends on the product research. Actually, if you do want kind of a training on product research, I do have a training, intoamelie.com/training. I teach about low risk product research strategies there. You can check that out. Yeah, and then the 7th reason is why you should do a PPC launch is the money you invest in PPC will get you more money back. It's a fixed expense, and my students, I teach them also how to kind of use that to get free travel and things like that. That's really cool. I mean, Amazon's amazing because you have these fixed expenses that actually make more money. In other businesses, it's kind of interesting that not all of them have that opportunity that you like spend money on something and it actually makes it's the sole responsible thing for making you more money back, right? Like if you have to spend money on electricity at a restaurant, it's not gonna really make you money. But here, every money you put into PPC, if you know how to do the strategies correctly, gives you more money back. And if you know how to optimize them and things like that, then that's even more money back. And then you trim down all the fat that's not making you money, and PPC is great. So that's, honestly, there's so many benefits of PPC launches, and the number 1 reason why I like it is because it prevents you from going into super competitive markets and needing to do all of these crazy things with giveaways and spending tens and thousands of dollars. So I definitely advise the PPC method, and that's how I teach all my students in my course and my PL club. And that's that. So next time you are doing product research, there are factors to consider because not all products can be launched with PPC, and I make a very important kind of push to say that because yeah, you can't launch all products with PPC. So if you try, some are in very competitive markets, so you have to know how to kind of know which one to go for. But anyways, I hope this is helpful. I hope that this answers questions. If you are thinking about giveaway launches, just stay out of the territory. You're going to save yourself a lot of headaches and cash flow issues and money if you do the PPC route, and it will allow you to invest into other products. But that's going to be it for this video. If you haven't liked it yet, please do so. Do subscribe. I post videos very, very frequently. I'm very active on here, and if you're interested about starting FBA, all my links are down below, and they're all low risk ways, and also financial investments are very low risk for my program. So anyways, thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next video.